Hmm? Hmm? If only it were this easy in real life. You see, every year, thousands of people from their teens to college years end up committing suicide due to harassment, all because they happen to be gay or whatnot. What's really sad is that the people who cause them don't seem to realize the pain they go through. They think, oh, they won't feel anything, they'll bounce back. Well, maybe in WoW where death isn't a problem, but in real life, they don't come back. Now, of course, people who happen to be GLBT tend to lose that feeling that life isn't worth it because of said reasons and that people just don't care. Well, guess what? We do. The people of this charity, including myself, are giving you reasons to live. There is plenty to live for, and what I'm about to show you is one of them. It's an anime manga series that is so manly and masculine that you can probably relate to, or at least admire. What series is it, you ask? Why, it's none other than Toriko.
Guts! Guts, guts! Guts, guts! Guts! Guts, guts! Guts, guts!
What's more awesome than a series in which food is like a way of life, in which people take pride in tracking down and eating the food that exists? Well, that and a brawny man who goes about hunting while flaunting his muscles a bit. Of course, why just him when there are plenty of others who can show off their masculine figure? The series was created by Mitsutoshi Shimabukuro, who is known to have made another series called Shikimatsu Leader Den Takashi. Interesting enough, Mitsutoshi is known to be friends with Ichiro Oda, mangaka for One Piece, and the two even made a crossover manga together featuring the cast of Toriko and One Piece. This, of course, inspired Toei to make their own anime crossover of the two, as the first episode for Toriko. Yeah, they love their money that way. But enough of that, let's go over the characters of this fun little series. First, we have our title character, Toriko, the glutton of the Four Heavenly Kings, a group of gourmet hunters whose power is greater than most people, who loves food and always shows appreciation to what is given to him. His attacks mostly consist of techniques that are based off the fork and knife. He has a caring nature, but like any shonen hero, you don't ever make him angry or else. Then there's Komatsu, a young chef who often travels with Toriko, and despite not having any fighting abilities, he desires to seek out new foods in order to improve his cooking abilities. He's the kind of person who seems like he would soon be the best in his field, given how gifted he is. I mean, he's so damn good, his recipe of the century soup can make anyone who eats it smile just like him. Next, there's Toriko, a battle wolf pup who also accompanies Toriko on occasion. Despite being born for only like a day, she's a formidable fighter and shows loyalty to her new parent. Then we have Koko, the gentleman of the Four Heavenly Kings. He's kind-hearted and is able to see the shadow of death on people. He specializes in poison abilities to the point where his whole body can become it. It also makes him afraid he might hurt someone, but that doesn't stop people like Komatsu from caring. Next we have Sunny, another member of the Four Heavenly Kings who loves anything and everything that is beautiful. He can be a bit of a stuck-up this way, but otherwise he does have a caring nature, especially to his sister. He uses his hair as a weapon, and even the tiniest strands of his hair can be used to support otherwise heavy objects. Hell, he uses this to feel mostly anything near him to the point where it's like he's right next to you. There's also his sister Rin, who despite having the obvious crush on Toriko, in which it would almost degrade her character, she is a capable fighter who uses battle fragrances that she fires from her wrist launchers. So she's definitely not useless whenever she's active. Finally, we have Zebra, another member of the Four Heavenly Kings who comes off as a huge, cold-hearted brute who hates anyone who's cocky and will kill anything that pisses him off. Using sound abilities, he's also the strongest of the four, though that doesn't mean he doesn't have a nice side to him. I mean, just his presence alone is enough to stop other people from attacking poor towns. Now, the anime introduces one more character to the main cast, and her name is Tina. She's from Gourmet News, who at the end of each episode showcases the food that's shown, and during the episode, she's like another companion. Now, technically, she's anime exclusive, as in the manga, she's not around, whereas the anime puts her in the same situations as everyone else. But she is official, because in a recent chapter, she has appeared as a cameo, so at least she still exists in both worlds. Still, there are plenty of other characters to enjoy, such as Ichiyu, the president of IGO, Naki Master Gyro, and even Zange, who is pretty much the Hercule of the series. Speaking of which, just what kind of world do our heroes function in? Well, allow me to show you, because it is freaky. You see, the world of Toriko is almost in a way like ours, in which civilizations are based off modern-day cultures, but mixed with food themes to keep with the series. There's also places you would think would come from a post-apocalyptic setting, but used for convenience. However, the real treat is the wildlife, as this is where the mangaka's creativity really shines. Most of the habitats are edible, like grass, trees, even rivers can be potential ingredients, all depending on the location, of course. But no matter where you go, there will always be wild animals to contend with, often vicious creatures that are like crossbreeds of 2 or more real-life animals, and their power is all based on a capture level system, which is pretty much self-explanatory. This applies not just to animals, but to plants and even food. Of course, so far I've been going off the human world stuff. There's also the gourmet world, which is even more dangerous than the other. How much more dangerous? Well, when everything has an unmeasured capture level, you know you're screwed. You see, the creative part of this series comes from what kind of wildlife you see, the habitats they live in, and even how humans build their nations. It's almost like with One Piece, in which you wonder what kind of people and creatures you'll find and how they work. You never know what will come your way, and even then you won't guess how they can spice it up. Speaking of spice, let's talk food for a moment, as that's another fun aspect about the series. Since these characters live and breathe food, you have to wonder how they taste and how they will react to it. Of course, the way it's done is through real-life examples, and mixed with the facial expressions of the characters, you get an idea on what they are tasting. See, when you have an idea on what something tastes like from foods that already exist, you can apply them to the foods shown here, as it allows your imagination to easily form the kind of feeling you would get if you were to eat it. Like if music were in text form, but you knew how it sounded based off hearing it once before. So it's always an experience to see what these bizarre looking foods will taste like. Now we talk about the plot. Well, like One Piece, there is a set goal in mind for our title character, but it mostly goes off on a random adventure note. Toriko's main goal in life is to create his full course menu, which is like a show of pride in his world, as the foods represent their tastes in food and how powerful they have to be to even get it. Since again, foods have levels of their own to even acquire them. At the time of this writing, Toriko has gotten a hold of 3 different foods for his menu, and one more that he is also seeking to add: God. Yes, there is a God in this series, but it's a food ingredient. Essentially, God is the ultimate ingredient that is so good it ended a gourmet war. And of course, it's the target of the series' villains, the Bishukukai, led by its mysterious leader, Medora. They seek God, along with the power to control all the world's ingredients, and will stop at nothing to do so, even if it means killing people and animals. Naturally, they're all comprised of incredibly strong fighters, some even stronger than the main cast. Even worse, they use what are called GT Robos to do most of the gathering and fighting, and boy, they don't go down easily. So in between seeking out new foods for his full course menu and facing the Bishubukai, Toriko's got a lot to do if he wants God. Now we talk about the fighting system. Basically, the fights are like your standard shonen series, with characters having unique fighting styles, most of which are gourmet related, while others are based off real-life fighting styles. Energy is based on calories, and recently you would get an idea on how many calories it takes to use an attack. Now, in terms of superhuman strength, many characters have what are called gourmet cells, which are found in animals and can be used on food. However, when used on people, it can increase their power greatly through adaptation. Essentially, they get stronger by adapting to harsh environments or simply by eating rare foods. Now, there is a drawback to the whole gourmet cell system, and this is where I start some of the flaws of the series. To begin with, gourmet cells act up whenever something terrible would happen to a person, and in that case, it would seem like a major deus ex machina. Even in battle, it's almost like the upgrades to the nail punch come in at just the right time. Also, the fighting system might not be the most original in the world, and you might not get the best out of everything that goes on, especially if you've seen stuff like this before. Also, when it comes to character development, it's really limited. Unlike One Piece, in which the main cast is often guaranteed to get some time to shine, only Toriko and Komatsu get the most development, and even then we don't get a lot of their backstory. Characters like Coco or Sunny would be lucky to even take part of the arc, and when new characters who get major fights show up, it takes away potential development time for those who already exist. Finally, like One Piece, some of the stuff that's shown can be a little too silly for those who are more into serious storylines. Like, even I find the use of sweet houses to be a bit of a stretch in terms of how much food can be used. Believe me, I like it when imagination is used to its fullest, but it still needs to keep in bounds with what is presented. It shouldn't have to go that far. Well, that's pretty much how the series works as a whole. Now, which version would I recommend seeing? Well, the anime tends to tone down a lot of the violence and graphic nature of the wildlife, plus given Toei's way of animating, you don't always get the best animation with every episode. If you want to see the series at its finest, track down the manga as it keeps everything intact. Overall, this is a series that is always fun to look at. It's got a cast that shows definite promise, a world that always brings something new with every arc, animals that many can be intimidating, and of course, food that will make your mouth water as much as seeing guys flaunt their muscles. This is a series whose often silly themes are great to read about. It's different in how it presents itself, and that's always a plus. But like this series, it shows that you too can be different and still be fun and awesome. So what if you're gay? Why should it matter as long as you act proud of who you are? Believe in what you want. Do what you want. It isn't a crime to be different at all. Just as I choose to read and watch a masculine and silly series like this, you can be what you are and not care what others tell you. Don't throw away what you love in life. Be yourself. Enjoy the rest of July, as I'm sure everyone's got just as many awesome things as I've shown you. I'm Isaac the Media Hunter, and I'll catch you next time.
これだけの来るコースガツガツリガツ集めるのさ世界をさらに乗せて